discussion about Cuban Missile Crisis, starting from 1989 in Moscow, and then up to today. I only denied once to the conference in Havana in 2002, because I only one member of American delegation whom Castro denied visa. So they think that we know everything about the crisis. And from other side, maybe we don't know most important things about the crisis. Because we have the stereotype, who blamed first that lost. That means to be strong, and I will say to be stubborn, and you would win. Or maybe you would lose, and lose much more. And so it is, but I think it is a very wrong lesson from the crisis. Because if you follow this idea, you will go to the dead end. And so let's look in what we have there, what the perspective of the Cuban Missile Crisis, because we know details. But I think that we have very wrong understanding of the nature of this crisis. We have the American mythology based on the ideas of the Superman movie. Khrushchev, the nasty man, he decided that President Kennedy is weak, and he will push down, and he imposed this pressure, send his missiles on Cuba to change balance of power. And we just heard that it was impossible to change this balance of power, the installation of 50 missiles. But then it appeared that President Kennedy and Americans are very strong. They showed them iron fist. He was scared. He pulled his missiles out and then was ousted of power. In each detail it was true, but altogether all of this was wrong. He never thought that Kennedy is weak, he can be manipulated. Even sometimes he has some strong words about Kennedy, and I guess that sometimes Kennedy said the same about Khrushchev. He thought that he is a master of his foreign policy, and he is just in good age, in his 40s, because he is experienced, and he is strong enough. He is thinking about his future, not about hospital if he will be in 70s or 80s. It was my father's repeat. I told you why he sent missiles to Cuba. It was just the diplomatic signal. And Khrushchev was not scared and pulled his missiles out. I will talk about this later. It was very successful diplomatic bargaining about the things, and one most successful in the diplomacy of the Cold War. So what was it about? Why it was the Cuban Missile Crisis? We have to go to the very beginning. After the Second World War, it was two powers emerged, replaced Great Britain, France, Germany, Japan, Soviet Union, and United States, who tried to adjust each other how they will manage this world. And it was the same behavior during the war. But the politicians first understood that it cannot be war because you not win, you will lose. And it was war behavior without war. It was the good name, the Cold War. And also it was the pressure there on the both sides. Because Khrushchev, at the head of the second power in the world, wanted to be recognized as equal. And you know that Americans don't want to recognize anybody as equal. So through this, what you're doing if you're not recognized as equal, you just challenge them. And this was the policy of crisis. And this policy of crisis was growing and growing, and started in 1956. Was two Berlin crises, two Middle East crises. By the way, about the same countries, the Syria and Iraq. Then a Far East crisis, and the peak was in the Cuba. But it could be in any other place, because this peak of policy of crisis emerged not because it was Fidel Castro there, but because we became more and more powerful and more able to destroy each other. But at the same time, it was the turning to the peace, because during the Stalin era, before the 1953, Stalin believed that we are going to the war, and war will start not later than 55 and 56, and Soviet Union would have to be prepared for the war. After the Stalin, my father's Soviet leadership decided, let's check, can we deal with that people, or really war inevitable? And after the meeting in Geneva in 1955, he came back and told, yes, we can do something, but we have to be strong. With the same conclusion on the American side. Soviet Union tried to hide everything there. They rejected Open Sky project and others that created suspicion on the American side because Soviet Union hiding something. But my father told we cannot allow them to fly our territory. We cannot not allow them any inspection now because they will find out how weak we are and will provoke them on the first strike. So it was one thing that we hiding that was nothing to hide. And through this, it was this misunderstanding on the both sides that is very important, because we're living in the two different civilizations, I would say. And all of us, Russians, Americans, we say Chinese, making their conclusion and decision based on their own experience, thinking that it was something similar will be on the opposite side. And their experience is very different. And sometimes you can bring this country to the disaster without understanding why it's happening, because the reaction on the opposite side will be unexpected for you. And the last what we say about this, that we lived on the brink of the war. When we talk about Cuban Missile Crisis, it was true for the United States. For the Soviet Union, we were on the brink of the war all our history. In 1953, when John Foster Dulles became the Secretary of State, he officially announced this American policy on the brink of the war. And Soviet Union had to accept it because it had no other choice. Other choice was surrender. And of course, Khrushchev could not accept this. Second, you can step back, one step. Then your adversary will make step forward, and it will be the same brink. So you have to balance on this brink. It's very important to understand. And my father repeated, he told, yes, it was dangerous policy, but it's very important to know where this lie. And he told, by the way, that John Foster Dulles, he hated the Soviet Union, communism and everything, but it was easier to deal with him because he knew where this brink very well. He never was stopped through this. So, where was Cuba? When Fidel Castro took the power, nobody in Russia, Soviet Union knew who is he. And when my father asked the intelligence and other analysts who is Castro, they didn't know, so the answer in the broader terms, he is one more Central American dictator, pro-American, and maybe agent of the CIA. And it is true, because if you ask what changed in East Europe and Italians don't know what is it, they will answer you the same. Of course, he is the dictator, he is pro-Soviet, and maybe he is agent of the KGB. But it was just maneuvering from one side to the other. And the first turning point was in 1959, because Fidel Castro was not communist. And the Cuban communists hated them. All of them, they wrote nasty things about Fidel Castro to the Soviet leadership. But in autumn '59, Fidel, the proud leader of the proud people who won the war against Batista, visited Washington, D.C. And he wanted to be respected. Very important in his mentality.